Okay, we're on another home on the Blooming Bardstown Garden Tour, and this one is actually a home of a master gardener. Is that
That's
correct?
right. Nick Kipper and Jim Taylor's home. Nick is a master gardener with us, and has been so for many years. And I just want to say about his fountain here. You know, he's got obviously a historic home, gorgeous home. But if you want to take a 4-star home to a 5-star home, if you just want to add a star to your appearance, then a large fountain will do it for it. It's a beautiful fountain that we've talked about a lot of different water features, but I think this is one of the best fountains we've had on the tour. Also, of course, several years ago, Japanese maples were very popular, but most of the time when you buy them, they're fairly small. Nick's has had about 15 years to grow, and that's really when Japanese maples come into their own. It's now the star of the show on the opposite side of the front yard here, and if you consider Japanese maple, you do have to be patient with them because they're slow growers, but when they get there, then they end up being just one of the best attractions to your yard.
And they're not too difficult for maintenance?
No, the only thing that can happen with Japanese maples is they do occasionally get hit by a late frost and it'll burn some of the leaves, but most of the time the plant will replace those, and I don't think I've ever seen a Japanese maple die from that. They will potentially look ugly for that summer, but in the long run they will overcome it, and when they get big they're far less susceptible to that problem.
Now this year we had an early warmth, and then it kind of got a little cooler, and but did that really impact much on the gardens?
Well, we had actually 3 challenges this year to the gardens. Nelson County had a hailstorm. We'll actually see some of the hail damage, what the hail caused damage to at one of the gardens today. It didn't hit quite this far south here at Nick's, but so the hailstorm was a big issue. We had a couple of late frosts that definitely did some damage to some of the, especially early flowering plants. And then the third thing was just it was a fairly cool spring overall, and not necessarily doing any damage to the plants, but it's caused the bloom cycle to be slightly late by a week or two.
Well, we're going to tour the home of Mr. Kemper and see what he has to offer.
So we're standing with Nick Kipper, the homeowner here, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the evolution of this garden. It's been on the tour once before, but it was 7 years ago, and we've had some big changes since then. Tell us about it, Nick.
Well, back the first time we were on the tour, the garden was dominated by a big water feature over here in the vicinity of the playground that you'll see in a minute. And then the biggest addition to the house came in 2011 when we got a son, and so the pond had to go because we were a little bit worried about having a baby or toddler around a deep pond or water feature.
Sure.
Put in the pondless waterfall the next year, and then after he got older, put another pond back in a different area.
I see you second tiered the gazebo there.
Yeah, that was, we were trying to figure out where we could put a playhouse or, some kind of type of jungle gym or something, and the answer was just to modify the existing structure, and then, of course, when that's not in use anymore, we can take it back to what it used to be, and not really have to crowd things too much.
Now, wasn't there a big tree over by the garage there as well? Or?
Well, yeah. At one time there was a hemlock, an apple tree, and 3 gigantic winter honeysuckles and 2 hollies, and I got rid of all that. The only thing I kept was a winter honeysuckle, and then it died back there where the ferns are, and that kind of has knocked a hole in the plan. But I can keep the ferns going with a lot of water. And hopefully someday that umbrella magnolia, which is a native plant, native to eastern Kentucky, Appalachia area, will take off and provide the shade there for that.
So here we're at Nick's fern bed. These are ostrich ferns. Interesting fact about ostrich ferns is that in the spring, the fiddleheads, which are the or yet to be unfurled fronds, are edible, and they're considered to be a delicacy in some places. These again are ostrich ferns. They grow up to about 4 feet tall. They are native ferns. They also spread, so over the years they can fill in an entire area. Now, like all ferns prefer shade. Ferns don't like direct sun, but there are some varieties that can handle about half sun if they're watered heavily, and ostrich fern is one of those. So this is one of my favorite flowers. It's a Turk's cap lily, and it's actually a native to Kentucky. You can see it kind of curls backwards and creates that Turk's cap. But this is one of the lilies like an Asiatic lily or Oriental lily where It prefers shade more on the leaves, but sun on the flowers, and that's for the best bloom possible. But you can find this very occasionally in eastern Kentucky, out in the woods or the forest. It's a beautiful flower. All right, we're at the home of Ryan and Megan West, and another stop on the Blue in Bardstown Garden Tour, and I've got Megan right here. So you've been in here for what, 7 or 8 years?
It'll be 7 years in October.
Okay, so
Yes.
you had some fairly blank slate, an empty canvas when you
Very
came
blank
in.
slate.
Just a green backyard, and you said, no, I'm going to make this into a garden, and
Yes.
we're seeing your results today.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about some of these things.
We had the buildings here and we painted them. Paint alone makes a huge difference. And then we had a giant tree right where the fire pit is, and it fell. So we had to cut some of it back and cut the whole thing down. So that was my biggest challenge, and we ended up making it into the fire pit. So somebody said yesterday we made lemonade out of lemons, so
Right.
it kind of worked out. So it's a nice little space, so it's kind of cool.
Now, was the patio here before, this rock
No,
patio?
nothing. There was literally nothing here at all.
So you laid that down yourself, or?
Yes, we did. All
at
do
a
it yourself.
time.
Everything's do it yourself.
Gotcha. I see some garden art around here too. Are you responsible for any of that?
Yes, I painted my signs. My husband did the raised beds and the gardens. He takes care of the vegetables, but I'm the flower girl. So
Gotcha. Okay.
he's not into the flowers.
All right. Well, what's your favorite one?
My favorites are gonna have to be these Lorraine Sunshines right here because they're from my grandma who passed away. After she passed away, we transplanted them from her house to mine. So these Lorraine Sunshines here are my favorite by far. They're very sentimental.
Thank you so much for
Thanks.
sharing your garden with us, sharing your house, because every year it's a challenge to find enough gardens to fill the tour, and we always
Yeah.
appreciate when people step forward and allow us to kind of tromp through their
No
grass.
problem. I hope it's inspiration for somebody to get something going. So I look at my mom's yard. She inspires me. So it's nice to have somebody to give you ideas,
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And we're going to see her mom's yard later today on the tour.